First and foremost, there are stages of Kundalini. First is called stimulus or stimulation. It is just a gentle shake inside your, it's like gurgling in, just you feel like a whirling energy at the base of your spine. We wonder, oh, what is it? How did it happen? We didn't know that there was some energy which is there, which happened on its own. We didn't do anything about it. So this stimulation it's like a stirring of the rod inside you. You are stirring. Kundalini is stirred by a certain calling. And then one moment, we don't know when and how, then you start connecting to the process of the rising current. How? There's a kind of calling inside you. Suddenly, you move out of this so-called biological limitation and you have some urge inside you that you have to know the depth of this. It starts to unfurl. The coiled serpent, which is like a coiled energy, it's not really a serpent, it's a coiled energy. It's like a DNA knot. The DNA knot unfurls and you have a double helical dance of light that is streaming through these nadis, the Ida Pingala, and balancing you first. So, first state is called priming. It is priming. The Kundalini is just studying the instrument and saying, am I capable of rising through this instrument? Is it safe? Is it clear? Is it good enough for this instrument to handle it? If there is a first biological potential, then there is a spiritual potential, then there is an emotional potential, and then there is a mental potential. All of them have to register for the Kundalini to have a safe and joyful rising upwards. This is an upward journey. But for that to happen, we have to have the depth of spiritual engagement, involvement to prepare this instrument. If you invite a lightning inside you, you also have the faculty to keep it in a safe, joyful state. So, just like how you put a lightning rod on top of your house so that you ground the lightning, same way we need to have grounding. So, all those beings who try to bypass this grounding because they didn't know enough, they are always going to have the effects of a lightning passing through this instrument and they don't know what to do because this was never part of our learning process. We only knew that we have to exist as a sustenance model. We didn't know what was possible through this process. So, first the current starts to flow so profusely. What is this biocurrent? It was already meant to be there. We were not privileged enough to dive into it. Now you become aware of it. It is not like Kundalini suddenly happened to you. Without Kundalini, there is no prana attracted to this body. The very presence of the Kundalini means the life force which is passing through us. So, the difference is between an awakened state and unawakened state. In an awakened state, you will feel the presence of this current across the instrument in a very profound way. You will feel the depth. So, if you are not ready, for instance, there is a big conflict here between an awakened state and an ordinary state. An ordinary state means I am not feeling anything. If you ask people, how are you? I think I am okay. But Kundalini is not about being okay. Kundalini is about being intense. There is an explosion happening inside you which will shift your the whole process of your paradigm that we have placed. So, it is so difficult for us to handle when we don't have a teacher. When there is no one to guide you at this point. So, it can be very devastating that you wake up in the middle of the night having crazy light explosions inside you and nobody is there to tell you that it was for your good. It was for your highest good, and we thought that some crazy attack happened on me, energetic attack, and we don't know, we consider it so negative that suddenly we start weaving all kinds of thought forms that, oh, we are under a psychic attack, we don't know enough, oh, there should be a dark night, we can't handle it. So, what is this extraordinary fear of the shadow element that we are invited so much of dark inside us, and Kundalini is the liquid gold, the purest connector to the cosmic dimension, and we here are questioning its very process. First and foremost, it is important to be able to expand our horizon and see through the largeness of this. Kundalini is like a constant reminder that the divine is speaking through us. Kundalini is a divine expression. It is not just a human expression. First, we have to make peace with the fact that a divine is interested in our uprising. So if there is a divine will which is asking us for superior level of calibration, what are we doing about it? Instead of sitting and crying about it, let us make more avenues to unlock the body. Let us make more avenues to keep the nadis open. Most of the time people are shaking because the nadis are not able to handle the intensity of the rising. It's like a shaking pipeline which is not able to feel the depth of its current, and it is just shaking all over. First and foremost, our depth of prana which is flowing through us has a certain calibration of a frequency. An average being uses only maybe 10 to 15% of the depth of the prana passing through this body. Since we are not knowing enough, you need to first understand how to extend the breath, how to expand the nadis. What way can you expand? First and foremost, the nitric oxide inside us is called the Kandarpa Vayu. It is seated at the core of your abdomen here. It is not even in the abdomen, but this is a locator point. This Kandarpa Vayu is doing a certain transmutation. It's a transmuter. So all the component of the nitrogen which is atmospheric, it does a sacred combustion between nitrogen and oxygen in a sacred way, in such a way that nitric oxide starts to flow in your arteries, veins, nadis, nerves, and expands the pipe so that Kundalini can safely pass through this instrument. So this has been misunderstood. People never even, I got to know about nitric oxide much later, but it was already happening to me. So that means there is a sacred interaction between the divine component inside us and our effort. So that is what is effortless effort. One, look at it in a very depth of awareness. If cosmic grace is interested in your Kundalini rising, it will prepare the instrument by its own. We don't have to do anything. But if you want to rise on your own, you need to also have the privilege to access the yogic knowledge and application of how to utilize this instrumental potential. For that, you have to do sadhana. Without sadhana, there is no other way. Even though you have cosmic grace, it will push you to sadhana. It will either give you awareness of how to do the sadhana, or it will do something known as sahaja kriya. I have seen thousands of people who have having natural movement in the body of doing the body starts doing kriya on its own. It does various mudras, it does various asanas. That means who is doing it for you? The Mother Shakti is doing it for us. It is preparing the instrument for better Kundalini rising. Expression is more profound. So that means, first and foremost, this whole fear channel, the fear factory which is placed across this media channels, across everybody is talking ill about Kundalini. Yes, it is dangerous. Yes, fire is dangerous. Those people who use fire for their application, for using this channel to burn the karmic memories which are coming in the way of resistance of this whole process, is nothing but a karmic disposition. We have resistance. The power wants to rise, but the resistance is pulling it downward. There is a conflict here between resistance and power, though the current is not flowing. See, simple understanding. There are three components in this whole process. One, there is a Kundalini power which is there at the base. It wants to organically rise through this instrument which is ready. We have a desire, but we don't have the ability to keep the instrument ready. So the instrument ready is not only, I have seen people who do a lot of yoga and still have these issues with the rising. It's because it is not in the physical body. Kundalini is in your subtle instrument. It is in your astral body. How can you have that rising only by physical understanding? Just because you have a great looking body, physically strong, muscular, having all the shape and size and form, but does it guarantee you a safe rising? Since there is not depth of awareness that it is passing through the astral body, and you have to prepare the astral body, all the nadis have to be primed, all the chakras have to attain a cosmic rhythm. There is a rhythm inside us which is gone missing. the biorhythm is not in sync with the cosmic rhythm. A cycle of process which of learning through this process, we can experience the fullness of this expression without a struggle. The struggle here is we are trying to understand only from a biological point of view. The biological point of view is not good enough. We don't know enough. We think, oh, I am having a chill today. Oh, I am having heat today. Oh my God, something is wrong with me. Taking temperature measurements of this body is not good enough. We need to know that the whole hypothalamus channel, which is so profound, it can also generate the bliss component inside us. It also sets the temperature inside us. But all that we think we know about this body, what do we know about the depth of this instrument? The instrument has not been primed to its creative potential. We are just existing, and Kundalini shatters our so-called knowledge of physics, of biology, chemistry, and opens us to an incredible quantum science. It unlocks us to the quantum science. It unravels the depth of the paradigm shift that can happen. Kundalini helps. The fear is we are not in control. Oh, what is happening? Something is happening beyond my control. The first fear is, how can we handle this body which is doing something on its own? We never knew that this body can do something. So we ask a doctor, the doctor says you have a psychotic issue. You are not able to handle something issue happening beyond your control. That means you need now to be on medication. I have seen so many disastrous cases where people have accessed medical treatment for Kundalini. It's not going to work on you. Kundalini does not work on the physical body alone. The final delivery point is a physical body. But that's not it. The projector screen is not the projector. The soul has projected the depth of this awareness, and Kundalini is a powerful mechanism. By itself, if you don't come in the way, it is capable of expression which is pure, dynamic, divine, and you get the fragrance of the divine in you. You get the frequency of the soul which is so magnanimously beautiful that all our doubts are put to rest. The primary struggle here is our ego self is far more powerful than the soul frequency. We want to be in control all the time. This is what our education system has told. You need to take control of your thoughts. You need to have only outward desires. And Kundalini is dousing all those external desires because it is so intense. Now you can't do your daily scope of activities. You cannot be just lost in alcohol because you are now having so much intensity of the orgasmic Kundalini inside you. You can't do anything else. So what have you been told? Whole life chase an outward dream. Now Kundalini is shattering that outside dream and telling you, now look at this cosmic dream. You are becoming one with the cosmos. This is most important. There's a sense of urgency. There's a sense of intensity which we have never prepared for. Suddenly we got this shock of our life that something bigger is happening than our dream. Kundalini is shattering our so-called physical dream. It is taking us to our cosmic dream. So it is so shattering because we didn't know enough. Nobody told us about this. And suddenly, and here we are, and under the huge onslaught of so much information. Google gives you information but does not give you solution, because we have a huge channel of pseudo teachers who have suddenly popped up with a small bit of information which is passed on. Most of the information that comes especially when it comes to Kundalini, it's all about, okay, I get people asking me, I want my body to shake. You touch me, my body should shake. Then my Kundalini is awake. There's nothing to do with the shake. The body is meant to experience the sacred dance of the DNA. The cosmic dance of the DNA. It is supposed to come back to its original sacred geometry. It is supposed to come back to its cosmic frequency. It is supposed to come back to its soul fragrance. It is supposed to come back to its original essence of life forms that is passing through us. So it is a bridge, but we are scared of this extraordinary possibility, and suddenly the fear is enough. The whole component here is of mistrust. Where there is depth of devotion, surrender, trust, and where there is intense dynamic readiness. When we are supremely ready in all ways, the openness, the acceptance is so massive that this body becomes completely taken over. This is where the big trouble here is. We think we are in control and Kundalini takes over us. It is the death of the ego self which is so prevalent and so magnanimous that we think we are now going to lose our so-called grasp. See, we can't even hold a thought form. The thought is passing through us. Breath is passing through us. Kundalini is passing through us. The whole cosmos is passing through us. What else do we have in this instrument? We have no control at all. All we think is, I am going to manipulate this whole process. Kundalini is not about manipulation nor about manifestation. It is about magnetism. Those beings who understand the depth of magnetism will have a clear, pure rising. Those who are still struggling to trying to manipulate this show are in trouble, and that's when they start blurting around, they start broadcasting their troubles. How many people are ready to share the depth of purity of their expansion? I want more people to share about their depth of purity that happened to them, about all the depth of orgasmic flows that happened to them. Why is that only negative? See, we are all drawn towards the negative. Negative rules our world. If there is a negative news, the whole world is interested. What about the depth of the yogic science? What about the depth of the creative potential? Nobody talks about this because it is just muted. All those guys sitting in silence thinking that my journey is personal, I don't want to share. It's becomes so debilitating that the people who are experiencing this extraordinary awareness should come out and tell about their beautiful journeys, so that let this world be capable of experiencing this magnanimous gift called Kundalini. Let's look at this in a very clinical way. Kunda is a fire pit here, and Kundalini is an expression of that sacred fire passing through these channels. Now, what is possible here? Why is this channel so difficult for us? Is because there is a process. If the process is not understood, we are now suddenly want an instant gratification from this. It's not going to happen. Kundalini is intelligence. We don't have to teach Kundalini what to do. First and foremost, if the intelligence has studied this instrument completely, it has completely put the whole perspective of what is possible through you. What is the gift that you have come here to express? Kundalini is about unfurling the gift. So once it starts to move, it will create its own avenues. It will create its own directions. The more yogic process that you follow in the being in the central vertical axis, that much more easier it is for rising. So more you become overwhelmed by the so-called, oh, what can happen to me? Oh, the very component of fear itself is actually part of a shadow element, and that means we create our own obstacles. Kundalini is not an obstacle. Kundalini is a game changer. It was never meant to be an obstacle. It was meant to unfurl your intelligence, and we are not interested because intellect governs our intelligence. Intellect is the wall. We have placed the wall. All the time we hit the wall and our head is bursting with pain. Intelligence is a valve. It unfurls, and it is a non-return valve. Once Kundalini rises to its peak, it completely shatters the roof of our intellect. So we are not privileged enough to supersede it by our own making, so we need a divine guidance. There are spirit guides, there are angels, there are star portal governors, there are incredible ascended beings who are passing through this instrument, but we are not privileged every time. So what we do is we have a fight. The organic fight here is all the very organism here is not capable of handling the intensity. So first thing that happens here is the conflict between the biology versus the spiritual state. The biology wants to just operate as an organism which is just operating on a feeding, digesting, eliminating and energy generation. Here energy generator which is sitting inside you is telling you there is a better way of handling the whole component of you. So it is making its way through. While it makes its way through, There will be pain. You know why? Because there is a karmic resistance. It is part of our unfurling. Wherever light passes through, there is pain. Every time an emotional charge is inside you and Kundalini is passing through it, it reminds you of a certain memory of your past lives, or could be journey in this life which is incomplete. So Kundalini at every stage is processing your emotions. It is telling you to burn those emotions. So if you don't burn it fast enough, it will make more obstacles for you by reminding you. Every single day you are reminders that what can you do about it. If you don't take action enough, it will continue to constantly be a reminder. So it's like an alarm clock next to you. Interesting aspect here is, this is part of the design, that we will go through the darkest dark and then illuminate the dark and access the lightless light. Lightless light is called Pratikasha, darkest dark is called the Shambhu. Okay? We consider dark as something very dangerous. Dark is not dangerous. Dark is the cosmos is dark. Only light streams pass through it. So by Kundalini is the golden stream through us to take us to the point where it will access the sacred infinite light channel known as Jyotirlinga. But for that to happen, first and foremost, it will pass through a processing. We have right now only feeling light coming from outside through the sun, which is Prakasha. We are happy. We are transiting between day and night, moments are passing, life is passing. But what is happening? We are just ordinary existential boredom, which is all of us are facing. Kundalini is like now exciting game changer. But are we ready to face the dark component inside us? The dark component inside us, all the fears that come to us are not being able to be pulverized by intelligence. We need intelligence to be free from all this, or to surpass it or to douse it. If intelligence does not govern it, we are always under the roof. We always feel that our thresholds are not sorted. For instance, if a fear takes over, that, oh, we are not good enough. Why did it happen to me? I don't want this. Take away the Kundalini from me. What do you mean take away? It's your life. It is a source of all your life passing through you. It cannot be taken away. So the crux of this is to first accept the fact that we are cosmic beings. Right now living a human journey, there is a biological, chemical connection. There is a biochemistry inside us. This biochemistry it's like a elemental glory. Each of these elements are talking to each other. What is the bliss component inside us? The bliss is our origin, also our convergence. It is merging point. But here Kundalini is trying to make its way. Each time it passes through a certain channel, it reminds you of the incompletions. It will point out where are the dark areas of our life. If you have not sorted the depth of our love connections, it will urge us to complete it. Until then, it will not pass through the heart channel. Until you experience the depth of the solar connection, it will not pass through here. Until you pass through the depth of the matrix connection, it will not pass through here. Until you have that depth of awareness of expression, you will not pass through here. So each of these portal points, it will stop and ask you to complete that particular charge, emotional charge. And we think it's just a nice walk in the park. It will just come up like this. Yes, 1 in a million chance, 1 in a trillion chance that Kundalini can just outrightly hit in one shot. All your journeys of practices from several lifetimes of journeys, all is right now seated inside you as awareness, as memory. Kundalini unlocks the awareness, unlocks the memories, unlocks the intelligence, unlocks the portals, unlocks the channels, so that it can make you complete. But here we are facing challenges of incompletion at every stage, and when it passes through those stages, it reminds us for dynamism of burning, dynamism of action, and also ability to let go. We have held back too many things. We are like a huge baggage stockpile, and we don't know how to drop the baggage. Kundalini is about dropping the baggage, unlearning a lot of information and crappy idealisms, so many conventions, protocols, so many traditional struggles, orthodox methods, religion, belief systems, all these are seated inside us as a reference library. Kundalini smashes each one of them layer by layer, peeling off all those crap which is coming in the way of the original intelligence, creative intelligence, which is Chaitanya Shakti, which is passing through us, Visarga Shakti, which is passing through us. So there is a process, and we want to bypass it safely by saying all you have to do is straight away go to meditation, sit there and chant Kundalini, it will all happen. So these bypass mechanisms are dangerous, because why is that we are saying that can you not work on your roots? If the tree's strength is based on its roots, you cannot straight away start watering the leaves and think that the tree is safe. So we are trying to sprinkle on the top without actually working on the entire structural integrity. We are not working on the depth of this sacred geometry. We are not working on the depth of the DNA dance. There is the dance of the DNA inside us. It's called a polymorphic dance. All this is very vitalizing. It creates the right platform for the huge, strong auric field around us. The whole proposition that the cosmos is now interacting in this instrument, it is interested in us. Once the cosmos is interested in us, you think it will not guide us, protect us, enliven us, empower us, enlighten us? So what is missing is that human intervention is far more powerful than divine intervention. Our will has become so strong that it supersedes so-called the divine power. We are saying, no, I am in control, I will take charge, I will take medication, I will take necessary steps to destabilize all that cosmic intelligence. I will only work on what I already know through educational process, or what I have known through interactions with my. So all of us have a limited bandwidth. Kundalini either can make you feel completely lost because our bandwidth is coming in the way, our human intellect is coming in the way. We need to first figure out ways to drop, collapse, shatter. Either cosmic intervention can do it for you with one single ray of light, your ego self will be smashed, you come into a state of surrender. Or we develop a culturing process. Kundalini is part of a culturing process. It smashes the culture in you, so-called biosociological culture, which is passing through us as memories, as certain conditioning. It smashes it by introducing. It smashes everything that we think we know. And that is what is our fear. We are losing a part of our conditioned self, and that fear itself is enough to create obstacles of, we are losing a part of us. What is that we are losing? And Kundalini starts to make its way through those emotional memories. First, what is this emotion? It's energy. Emotion is also an energy. But look at the way we have corrupted it. We have corrupted emotion by always leaning towards the negative self. If the minute you say, I became emotional today, why should emotion be only fear, or regret or anger or all the negative streams? It can also become bliss. Emotion can also be laughter. Emotion can also be innocence. Innocence is the purest emotion inside us. We don't know anything, but everything is flowing through us. Why is it so difficult? Why can't we be childlike instead of being childish? Why are we so difficult? We think that everything should just come to us because I demanded it. When we are becoming more demanding, but do we have the caliber of this instrument which is capable of handling the intensity? It's like saying, okay, oh clouds, shower on me right now. Can we handle a cloud burst on top of us? So we need to be able to have that ability to rationalize, that remembrance, that we can only take what we can. That means you will not get an experience beyond what we can take. That means the intelligence knows. How dare we question the intelligence that we are not good enough? Doesn't the intelligence know whether to rise safely or not? We will get exactly what we ask for. If you have asked for Kundalini before you took birth in this planet, you will have a Kundalini journey. Then why are we surprised? Because we don't have memory. The biggest struggle in this entire Kundalini process is loss of memory. We don't know enough. We have not known that we have asked for it. Don't know enough to trust. We should know enough to trust. And we will not get any experience beyond what we can handle. We are exactly getting what we have asked for, and we are exactly where we are meant to be. What stage of the journey we are meant to be, that's where we exactly are. We said, no, my Kundalini cannot be here, it has to be up here. Yes, Kundalini rises at 200 miles per hour, that speed. Why is it is still stuck here? Why can't it move in such a flash, one moment? Everything is sorted. Awakened, enlightened being, capable of experiencing the fulsomeness of this design, fulsomeness of this sacred geometry, fulsomeness of this magnificent cosmos passing through us. But for that, the part of the joke is that there is a process. Incredible understanding here is, what is this pain? Pain is resistance to flow. The Kundalini wants to flow very joyfully through us, but we are like an obstacle generator. We create obstacles by either ignorance or by arrogance. Yes?
Look at me.
Yeah. We have a lot of arrogance that, oh no, I will take shape of my journey. The loss of power here is that we have a certain calling that I will control and I'll have a power gain over this whole process. Kundalini is not supposed to be a power game. It is supposed to help us diffuse all that we are not, so that we can experience the godliness inside us, divinity inside us, which is like a pulverizing all the so-called control games. We are supposed to just be allowing the depth of pure emotion of innocence, pure creative intelligence to flow through us. But here the pain here is that we are trying hard. We are thinking that we are manipulating this show. I will direct the Kundalini, I will with my meditative powers. I will do it in a certain way, I will manipulate it, I will direct it, I will control it. There is first and foremost the huge pain of incompletion. And this pain is not sorted by pressing a button. Kundalini can be understood from simple activation and actuation. Activation means once the divine will presses the initiation inside, the activation channel is open. But for actualization means to actually go through this whole process of unfurling, it's like a death of a caterpillar to become a butterfly. There has to be a transformation. Kundalini serves as a catalyst, but we are coming in the way of the catalyst formula of it. That means, where are we placed in this whole game? What is this fear of not being able to experience the fulsomeness of this magnificent channel? The fear placed here is, okay, it is supposed to run through its channel. That why is it not running through the channel the way it was meant to be? But we are questioning the intelligence. It's saying, okay, I will govern it. In what way can you govern? Can you physically put your hand inside and govern it? You cannot do it. So, here you are. A certain calling enables us to access a certain master flow, where the sound, light, the depth of this frequency of this dance of the sound and light inside us is like a sacred transmission pathway. Those people who follow this pathway through use of nada yoga is an incredible mechanism to attune this instrument through the process of again the same toning in, tuning in, fine tuning, so that the instrument itself becomes calibrated to the readiness of the design. This is calibration. People who try to bypass calibration have to still go through a huge stockpile of resistances coming from, it's like there is a saying that don't try to be a square peg in a round hole. We are trying to become a square peg in a round hole. It is not passing through. We need to understand the depth of the form so that Kundalini can help us become one with the Nirguna Tattva, which means eventually it becomes all formless. The whole sacred dance can take shape anyway through its magnificent intelligence. So what is important here is this body has a certain inherent intelligence. It is already there, embedded in the DNA. It is embedded in our cellular memory. It is embedded in our sacred dance of these light and shadows, in the electron dance. So that means all the atoms which were there since the genesis are still passing through us. So what is our resistance? Why is there so much of struggle? Here is that with the human struggle is we are always following a convention, a certain level of convention, that it has to happen as per our convention. We want to be perfectly in sync with our thought forms, with our way of living. It should not come in the way. Kundalini shatters all those conventions. The sleep cycle, the waking part of it, what are you consciously aware about? What thought forms come to it? Kundalini, when it takes over your other conventional thought forms, now we are disturbed. We are no longer able to eat the same kind of food. The body is rejecting a certain kind of food. It only accepts a certain pure kind of food. It will re-govern your life the way we have been living our life in a conventional way. It shatters it, and so we are now disturbed. We are not part of that mainstream. Now you have to live in a very sanctified way. You have to consecrate this instrument by constant remembrance, by a certain process of enlivening this instrument to its pure state. So there is a process which we cannot try to bypass. What if your whole life has turned on its head? You are no longer the same person whom you have been programmed. So that is where the struggle here is. The programming which we have been conditioned by social ways have now been destabilized, and we have to live a very yogic life. Now there is a big confusion between living a yogic life and living a normal, sustained way of living. So ordinary existence doesn't mean we are bored and we are living in a dumbed way. Kundalini is about an ordinary living with extraordinary awareness. It prepares us for the extraordinary. For that, you have to follow a certain discipline. If you do not follow the discipline, there is yama niyama of this instrument to sync in with the cosmic rhythm. If you destabilize it, if you start taking drugs, alcohol, and any spurious kind of mechanisms which will hurt us chemically, the whole process of Kundalini gets distorted. Even the thought waves are governed by the quality of the breath, the quality of your food, the quality of your interactions with people. You need to have connection with the Sangha of people who are in the same joyful journey, the channel that you connect with, the depth of commitment to this process. So Kundalini is a lifelong process, and that's what is scary for people. They thought Kundalini was a weekend retreat. It's not going to happen on a weekend retreat, my dears. It's going to be a lifelong journey. When I was 16 years old, I read a book written by an American scientist who had experienced Kundalini. He asked a simple question: are you ready to spend the entire lifetime with this journey? It shattered the so-called thought forms of a 16-year-old looking at life from the angle of the whole biological instrument versus the human perspective. The human perspective here is we want to live a safe, comfortable, luxurious, self-gratified life. Kundalini shatters the so-called roof of this understanding that we have to live for self-gratification. Kundalini completes you to a point where you are being used as a mechanism, as a channel to be serving. You are not meant to live for self-glory. And that is what is disturbing. What happened to your borrowed dream? What happened? And this is where the conflict begins. The conflict between the heart and the brain. The brain is telling you conditioned programming. The heart is telling you to operate from pure love. The gut is asking you to only work with purity. So this is called a trika. Trika in Sanskrit means that the triune. The gut, heart, brain have to be fused. The adrenaline has to only help you to fly up. The nitric oxide in your instrument is meant to unfurl and expand your instrument. The nitrous oxide is to help you connect to the cosmic laughter. So that means there is already a mechanism which was meant to safely unblock you and keep you ready for an incredible exotic journey. Maximum pleasure in our instrument. Most people have dopamine, can have anandamide, can have a sense of feeling of love from oxytocin, a bonding chemical. So all this put together is not enough to even have a spark of what Kundalini orgasm is, because it is so vast, so intense, so massive that it just pulverizes all the other emotional component in you. What emotion we have in our instrument is only that, oh, we are in love with another being, which is constantly in a state of flux and challenges and resistances and so many dynamisms. So all the relationship we have with life is constantly shifting. Kundalini smashes that so-called component of attachment to life. It makes you so detached. Doesn't mean you're running away or you're far off from. You're connected to everything. Kundalini connects you to all the life forms, all the existential reality and the beyond. So if you're not open enough to the experience beyond, we have a conflict here, and this conflict will continue to bother us, as in the battle between the ego and the soul, the loser is the winner. Most of the time, the soul becomes subdued by the ego self. It starts because soul is just a witness and the ego self is governing the whole organism of this projection, and the ego self says, I don't want, I don't like this, I have issues of choices. So if Kundalini is not a choice, it makes us choiceless.